So you're going to lightly draw in the structure of the feature. And you can even outline where the highlights and shadows are if that helps you. If something is off, that's why we draw lightly, so we can erase it and fix it. But I'm trying to, and you can look at the picture, look at the distance, and make sure everything lines up. You can even use your pencil to go across and measure and make sure things line up. So after I get the outline done, then I'm going to come in, and I want you guys to get in the habit of, just like how we practiced in Shattered Image, you're going to go lightly first. You're going to start getting all your midtones in. Remember, midtones are the lightest value possible. We don't want to ever go too dark at first because we want to make sure that we can make any corrections that we need. Usually on the outside edges of the bridge of the nose, it's going to be in shadow, so it's going to be darker. And we're going to leave this top part highlighted because it's in the light source tab, okay? So I'm laying in all my midtones, including on my nostril, and you guys should be working along with me as we're doing this. And you look on the ball of the nose, you have to try. Look on the ball of the nose and notice how I'm making round circles to get that ball of the nose. So now you see I've established the medium. So the medium tones, you can start to see my nose is starting to become three-dimensional just by putting those medium values in. And you always want to make sure that your pencil is sharp to help you get good shading. I'm not pushing down at all. If you notice, I'm holding my pencil the same way we talked about from the beginning. I hold it as far as away as possible so that my pencil is on the surface of the paper and I can get those really nice light tones. You can also use your finger to smudge and get that light value. We're going to start using tortillons, which are really helpful. Right now I want you guys just to practice on your craftsmanship with holding the pencil on your own. But tortillons will also help get this value fast. So now that I've gotten all of these light tones, I'm going to start to look at where the values get darker, and I'm going to start to build up that value. I can even move my hand in closer in the middle of that pencil so I can get more pressure of my pencil. Notice I'm holding it to the side. I'm going slowly so I get nice, even variation from light to dark. And I'm trying to match the photo best as I can.
This is the best I could do.
You can keep going. I'm still doing it. That's why we're practicing now, so that when we do our final portrait, you're happy with your results.
Do you stay at school today?
Today we have our theater party.
Can I go? Can I stay?
No, it's only for theater people. I'm sorry.
I've been in a theater before. I want to do the work.
I'm sorry. It's only for theater.
I mean, food?
Yes.
Free food?
For theater people.
Can I bring
I'm
my own
sorry.
lunch? Like a packed lunch?
You can, but you have to sit in the cafeteria.
Today's the only day I can
I'm sorry.
What? Are you the host?
No. I'm one of them.
Exactly, so you can let me know.
No.
Playing a good one. I can't stay for the next 2 weeks.
I'm really sorry. That's the only time I can stay. After the 2 weeks are over, I don't stay after anymore.
You'll be like crazy for you.
So now I've started establishing my lines. And I'm putting in that value. I'm making sure I'm getting the bottom of my nose. If I need to get highlights, I can also use my eraser. And underneath that nostril, you notice there is a shadow. So I can start laying that shadow in.
You pretty good at that? No, bro. It could probably be worse. What? Probably be worse. No, trying.
Why don't I just stop talking and try?
I'm drawing. You can answer your question. Ugly.
You're allowed to use your eraser. I also have the drop shadow underneath that nostril, so I'm going to bring that shadow all the way down. Underneath that nose right here, so it's going to make it look three-dimensional. I'm going to start to lay in that value. On the edge of that nose to make it look 3D, I'm also putting my shading on that edge. And you want to be careful on the bottom. As you can see, my desk had some unevenness, so it picks up any irregular pencil shavings or eraser. Pieces of eraser that have fallen off. So use those brushes to wipe it off. I'm just going to start building it up, and I can come in and take my eraser, and I can start erasing highlights. There's a highlight on the edge, ball of my nose. I can use the edge of my eraser. I'll have smaller erasers available as well that we'll be able to use. And there's also a little bit of shadow here on the outside of that nostril. A little bit of a shadow right here on the edge of that nose. That's the bridge. And that goes right up into my eyebrow line. That's the top. That'll be the very top of my eyebrow. And the shadow up here is the top of the eyelid. That highlight right there is actually the top of the eyelid. Okay. And the same thing over here, working on that bridge. That shadow is a lot darker. It's inside of that eye socket, and that's the top of my other eyelid on that side. I'm going to bring that down as well. Always good to practice to improve your skill and your technique. The more you practice, the better you will become. And that's why we're doing it now. Well, people keep saying it. Maybe you should listen. You can always come back and erase, like I said before, if you need to. We're just trying to match as best as we can that value. That's the back of that cheek and that shadow. Okay? So we want to practice, we're just doing the major features. And one thing, that we can do also is when you're going to be looking at a photo for reference, so you're going to have the same thing happening, which is helpful to draw from. But when we do the anatomy project, you're not going to be working from a photo. You're going to be working from life. So you're looking in a mirror from observation. Yeah, you're going to be using a mirror for observation. Can. Okay? So we have the nose. Lips are also similar. Good, just keep doing the value. Same way we talked about before, you can draw that line going across. Get the edges of that mouth in, just like we practiced on the board. And then draw the lips in. And those are at an angle, not straight on. Just like a contour outline, you can outline the highlights and the shadows, a contour outline. So underneath that lip, we have that shadow. I also have that frenulum up here on top. It's this little bell shape where the two muscles meet. So you outline the lips, and now do the same thing. Now come in and start adding your midtones. Your top lip is always darker than your bottom lip because it is in shadow. And this bottom lip is always lighter with the cast shadow underneath. So making sure that we put that shadow underneath will help make it appear in a highlight and more three-dimensional. It has to be, they're never the same color, even if you have lipstick on. Or a stain. We want to get away from the habit of, notice how I'm drawing lightly and I'm not using outlines. The value of the pencil shading that I'm doing will create that outline. So I have my top lip. I haven't made any outlines. Notice how, see how that shadow gave my lower lip a line. So I'm going to come in, I got my midtones established. After I've done my contour outline, I'm establishing where all my midtones are and my shadows. And even though the lip is in highlight, there's still a little bit of a shadow on the bottom of that lip. And to show those little lines on the lips, I can start making vertical lines, but I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the shape of that lip. And I can start coming in, once I'm happy with the structure and the placement, I can start making. Yeah, that can definitely help get you back out of OSF. So notice I haven't drawn any outlines of my face. Only very, very light, and the value is what's going to make that line. Right underneath that top lip, I have a little bit of a shadow. That's what we're practicing now, so that you're going to be happier with your results instead of straight onto the paper. This is, we're practicing now what your goal is to try and achieve with your own portraits.
I'll be less disappointed.
Well, that's something. If you can't find a model, you can always work from photos. You can find reference online. You come back in, remember, with our eraser. Yes, right now that's the Missouri state standard. We have to learn how to draw from life. It's probably every state standard, but since we're in Missouri, I'm only worried about what Missouri is requiring. So I'm using my finger to smooth and smudge out those edges. I'm going to come back in with my eraser and start reestablishing where my highlights are. I did that with the frenulum with the eraser. And then down on top of my lip. Still not one outline. All you can do is try. Okay?
Have you seen Miss Johnson's drawing?
No.
Miss draws?
No.
You haven't?
No. I don't ever see her. I'm down here
The
always.
math teacher?
I know who she is. I just don't.
You know she draws, right?
No.
She drew a kitten. It looks like a real, like, she has good drawing.
Cool. Show her yours.
She kicked me out of her bed.
Oh.
She sent me down here every day.
Well, probably because she saw that you were failing.
No, I just was doing my drawing. Probably because you called it a B word the other day.
Wow. Lovely.
The other day? Yeah. How was you? That's what I meant. The other hour. How brave you get.
Okay? Just gotta keep practicing. Practice makes perfect. Yes. Like I said, you can use anything from the packets, or you can use your face if you want to go ahead and start practicing. Once you are finished, we're going to move to the final draft. I have them all prepped over here. A couple people have already started. If you want to take a break, you can. I have 4 stations set up back here. The first 4 people can come back here. You're going to outline the skulls that I have set up on the back part of your page. And I'll be here to help you. So first, people that want to come back, I have 4 stations set up. Once you get your skull drawn on, you're going to be able to design your skull any way that you like. I'll show you some examples.